Welcome back, growers. It is Tuesday, May 13th, and we're here to learn as we grow. Today's conversation is all about keeping the furry critters out of the garden. Have you ever walked out to your garden excited to see your plants thriving, only to find them nibbled down to stubs overnight? Whether it's rabbits, squirrels, deer, these furry freeloaders can destroy weeks of hard work, if not months, in just one visit. So tonight we're going to share some tried and true methods to stop them naturally, humanely, and effectively. Let's take back your garden, but understand the fourth option here. You know what I'm talking about. Thanks for watching the replay. What's the worst furry critter invasion you've ever had in your garden, and how did you deal with it or wish you've had dealt with it? What did you learn there? And drop your garden zone too. I'd love to know where you're growing and what animals you're up against, because different areas have a completely different list of critters that are furry that could be getting in there, right? We're going to talk about cultural controls, biological controls, psychological controls, and physical controls as we talk through tonight's conversation. If you are in the chat and you have experience or a story, or you know there's this thing that works so good, please share your experiences with us. Things I've had to deal with was birds my first couple years. And then now recently, deer or mice or rabbits have been out where I garden away from home now. I know we have, or did have, Pest Hunter Outdoors. I would say small birds and rats and mice are probably going to be the most common. Good to see you here for this conversation. Miss Sharon says cats and moles/voles. I have seen voles out at the offsite garden too. Miss Sharon is in 8B, Anne's place. Good morning, everyone. It is good to see you, Anne. Do you have any furry critters that like to get into the things you're trying to grow? Gandalf Smith, how you doing? Welcome to the conversation. And Rick is here as well. Rats and mice only are what you're having trouble with or have had trouble with. We're going to hopefully brainstorm some ideas to help us be successful in keeping the things out. We got to be smarter than those animals, like Howie would say from Food Forest Permaculture. Gandalf says feral cats are my biggest problem. I hope to have a whole section just on cats for you this evening. Rick says compost bins, looking for worms, etc. That's where the rats and mice are going, is the compost bins. Interesting. I know we talked about composting in a past live stream, and we went over different types of systems to try and keep things out. If you know that is a problem, you have to check that on the replay. Anne's place says no, but I have feathery things that want to eat all. Things are getting in with feathers that want to eat it all. Anne's place, crows and more crows and more crows. Crows, huh? Okay. Well, hopefully we can have some experienced pest hunters say in the chat what they would do. Maybe we'll go over crows specifically. I have a couple places where I pulled information from for this. So if we go, Miss Sharon says, live chat or all messages, y'all. If you're in the replay, I do have the live chat replay on. So if you don't see it yet, then come back after it's loaded. Anne says, they love my young veggie shoots. Oh, really? I think crows might be what took out my peas last year, to be honest. But I'm not sure because I didn't have a trail camera set up. I bought one and then I haven't set it up. I got the batteries, the card. It wants me to set up an app on my phone, and then I have to pay for a subscription to access the photos. That's where we're stuck at. Okay, so identify the problem. Signs of animal damage. You've went out there and you saw something happen that would shouldn't have, right? Is it chewed plants? Are you seeing footprints? Are you seeing scat? The most common culprits are going to be rabbits, squirrels, deer, groundhogs, raccoons. Again, you guys have shared crows, cats are on your lists. So just observing what's going on. So I'm going to first speak about notes I took from a free class that I was involved with at some point. It was Noah Sanders was speaking. And so this information came out of his mouth. And he has a channel called Redeeming the Dirt. But when I quickly went over to his YouTube channel, which is linked in the description, I couldn't find a conversation about the pests. So I'm sorry, I couldn't find that quickly, but maybe after this airs, I can dig a little deeper and see if I can find, because the class that I took isn't public. Like you guys can't watch it or listen to it. So he talks about the cultural controls first. What are the target crops? So you've went in the garden, you saw there's damage. What is it that they're going after? Like take note of that, right? Anne says the crows took out 70 lettuce shoots. Well, that's excessive. Last year, Pest Hunter says a game camera will help to identify what the animal is. Absolutely. Do you recommend any specific brand or style or company of game camera? Like what did I buy? It's in the shelf. I don't remember right now. I might be able to stop and go look after I get some information out. Gandalf says, if my plants are small, I cut both ends out of the 2-liter bottles and put that around the plant to keep cats from laying on them. I've seen people use cages that they get at the dollar store. It looks like trash cans, kind of. And then I'm assuming they like landscape staple it down. DCB says, I forgive you, Shawnee. Oh yeah, crows suck. Pest Hunter says there's a product that looks like a yellow beach ball with eyes. It'll help keep the birds out of the garden. That is definitely super helpful information, talking about the psychological controls, right? Corn shoots was DCB's. Anne says, yeah, we literally have hundreds of crows in the trees here. Oh my goodness. Well, hopefully we can find some answers for you. Miss Sharon says, cats laying on the plants is not the problem. They want to use my beds as a litter box, and that's the problem you have with them. Okay, don't forget to fill out the poll. For those of you in the replay, I'll share what we're talking about later in the poll. So identifying what the target crops are and understanding to separate them. Don't plant them all in one spot. We speak a lot about plant diversity around here. We want to have a healthy soil food web, and we want to confuse the pests and things. So if we plant things all over the place, if one gets wiped out, we still have more over here, right? Or we have more to put in after it. Maybe you have another seedling growing, or you have more seeds to direct sow. So moving the habitat for the pest. So where do, like what we're talking about, these furry animals like to live? Removing that from your property so they don't have food and shelter, okay? Plant enough for both of you. If you want to do that, that could be an option. Maybe you know where their shelter is and you decide to break ground over there and plant all their favorite things. And so maybe, just maybe, they'll leave your spot alone. The diversity, right? Planting things mixed up should help, right? DCB is psychological deterrent. Does that mean I think at them they really, really hard will stop? We will talk about the psychological games and controls here in a minute. Richard, hello. Good to see you. Rick says, rats eat worms. Cats kill rats. Soldier flies eat rat. Then you get rasps. The shell of the maggots. Okay. Now, sometimes there's things like planting the herbs or garlic or onions strategically in places so if something comes up and they want to eat the thing they're looking for, they'll catch a whiff or a bite of those specific herbs, garlics, or onions, and they'll leave, possibly, right? The biological controls. What are the wild predators for the problem you're having, right? So if it's mice, put an owl box up is a suggestion. Understand, like hawks, coyotes, owls, dogs, cats, they could all work for you. If you're having a specific problem with their food, like if you have a pest that you know they'll eat, invite them in and they will take care of it, right? So the psychological controls is kind of messing with their head. Like we were talking about the decoy of yellow eyes. So they think something that's going to eat them is there, but it's just something fake that you've placed. Maybe you move it every week, right? Having a fishing line. How many of you have heard of that? We talk about this in our keeping deer out of the garden live stream that we did a couple days ago. Catch that out on the replay. They run into it and they get spooked. Scarecrows are super common for these types of things. Motion, right? So whether that's pinwheels or ribbons, something that's blowing in the wind, it could be motion lights, something that kicks on as soon as it's solar powered. It kicks on as soon as something walks by it. Motion sprinklers have been super popular. People get a little worried about, oh, there's going to be all this excess water and it's going to be bad for my garden. Well, the sprinkler only kicks on if something's within so many feet, and it only squirts so much water and then stops. It's not like a constant, it's not going to hurt your garden. But I hear that works super well with things, is motion sprinkler. Having different scents or hair or soap have been talked about, which I'll probably repeat when I go through other lists because I'm doing one person's thing at a time. So it might be repetitive. Electric fencing. I've seen people use the Pro One. I think it's called Pro One, where there's like a solar energizer and a panel and a wire, and it's hooked up to this netting that's white, and you can move it wherever you need to move it. I've seen people put that around their gardens. Like there's one in Minnesota that does that. So before I move to physical, let's see what's in the chat. DCB says, I'm sorry, my headache went away finally, and I'm in a good mood. Headaches suck lots. I am a headache receiver. My husband doesn't get headaches. It's the weirdest thing, but I do for you name it. There's 100 reasons why. And that moment of when you get back to normal is fantastic. So welcome to Normalville. Gandalf says to Miss Sharon, I let the weeds grow between plants. I keep them cut short. Then the cats go elsewhere to do their business. Loving the tips. Help each other out. DCB says, owl box. Interesting. Anne's Place says, I'm sorry if I missed anyone. She did just get up. No coffee yet. It is 6 a.m. over there. Have peace. Richard says, moles. With my Jack Russell Terriers, they don't last long, but everything gets dug up. Making raised beds from IBC bins seems to be working. Yeah, changing up your gardening method. Fantastic. Having the dog. Fantastic. We do what we can, right? Miss Sharon says to Gandalf, I'm trying to plant more in between, hoping that will help. Absolutely, Miss Sharon. Rick says, deer have bad perception of sight. Yes. In that my back is hurting in the center. I have to like find a different way to sit. Sorry, guys. I went to the offsite garden twice today because I couldn't just sit at home. I went and planted, and I can talk about that at the end if you want to hear what we did today. But in the deer, like planting plants that are resistant to deer, we also talked about the tactical stuff of how to keep deer out. Gandalf says old CDs strung up blowing in the wind helps. I have done that. You know, CDs, DVDs. I thought it looked terrible, and so I never did it again. And they fell apart within the first year. So I couldn't use it again if that was going to be my tactic. To keep birds out, what I did was I gave them food and water elsewhere, but in the garden, like in my land, but not next to the garden over here, right? So then they had food and water and they left my stuff alone. Thank you, Miss Sharon, for sharing Pest Hunter Outdoors YouTube channel. Check them out. They're perfect for this conversation. Rick says CD's been used for scaring birds. Yep, that's what I used it for. And the neighbors were like, "Why are you doing that?" You get the look because they're not gardeners. Anne's Place says, "I fooled the rats with false eggs. Ooh, only for a while it seems. Eggs are again disappearing." Okay, so rats are getting into your chicken coop? I feel like that's a fortifying the castle situation. Okay, and then we look at, okay, what will eat the rat? Let's introduce that, but maybe that eats chickens too, so maybe not. The other thing with rats is trapping them. Are you against that, Anne? Pest Hunter Outdoor says, traps and boxes are cheap. It's how you set them up. We have silver boxes with a door where the mouse gets through and then it traps them, and then it's a clear window and you can see if somebody's in there or not, and it fits like I don't know how many mice. And we were putting them in not the best spot. When we found a better spot to put them, we were getting them every day. No problem. You know? Gandalf says, yeah, they don't look nice and fall apart. Yes. Yeah, the DVD CD conversation. Rick says, yeah, food in the chicken coop. That's what the rats are going after. Anne says, we're going to make a new coop. Perfect. Fortify it. DCB says, I'm sorry about the problem, but it's funny that you can fool them. Yeah, the psychological games, right? Bird cages too. It's banned there to trap the rat. A rat? You can't trap a rat? Right here, she says, no poison, no traps. Okay, what eats rats? Let's. Richard says CDs work, but the wine grape farmers use a reflective foil strips that flaps in the wind also? And it works and it's not expensive. Okay, it's called reflective foil strips. Perfect. I love that. I right, DCBs? I'm shocked. But it is what it is. Rick says, put wire under the dirt outside the cage. I'm going to talk about that too, hopefully. It's in a thing I read that I'm going to read. Let's see here. So, finishing up the Noah Sanders conversation, the physical fencing, right? Netting, bird netting over areas or around a tree, for example. Row covers over your vegetable crops, cloth, and tunnels. Fortifying everything to keep it out, right? So that was the Noah Sanders conversation. Yeah, right. And then Miss Sharon's like, I might have to be an outlaw. Like, what's the punishment? You get a fine? Anne says, so I'm going to write them a letter and ask them how they expect me to get rid of them. Do they have an exterminator program where they have their own bucket of tools to get them out of there, right? Rick says, milk bottle foil tops we did 40 years ago. Anne says, something about cruelty to animals. DC, animal rights people here fought for that rule and won. I hear ya. So let's see. There's a website called Gardenary. I have their link in the description. I'm going to go through their little list of ways to keep animals out of the garden, is what it's called. Adding a physical barrier around your garden. I'm going to go through hardware cloth to go under your raised beds. So if you have underground rodents, which we talked about this in how to fill your raised bed, we even showed what this would look like. So gophers, moles, voles, if those are an issue, you need the bottom of your bed protected, which is tricky if you've already have it been planting in it. Like if you are setting up a brand new space, this is lickety split, no problem. You use 1/4 inch hardware cloth first, and then you start filling your bed. Mesh covers to go over your raised beds, keeping the insect pest, which we talked about companion planting and how to deter or attract pests to certain places. Check that out on the replay. Smaller animals like rabbits and squirrels, you could keep out with the mesh covers, like tulle or ag fabric, floating row covers that fit the bed. Drape the fabric over some garden hoops and then secure it in place with landscaping pins. The tiny holes in the mesh let in water, sunlight, and air, but prevent moths and other flying pests from entering the space to lay their eggs. A 4 to 5 sided structure to enclose your raised beds. So cages, fencing. This one story is talking about squirrels eating the tomatoes. So they built a wooden and metal cage that went over their garden bed to keep the squirrels out. The best material to use for caging is hardware cloth. It's like a wood frame and then the hardware cloth. And then the deer thing, like we talked about on the deer live stream. If deer are your problem, wood posts, hardware cloth, deer fence, 8 feet tall, that kind of thing. Oh, oops, Cap, that wasn't meant to be caps. Rick says poison traps, live traps. Miss Sharon says, I would tell them to come get their precious pets out of my garden. DCBs, you can't even use a live trap? Anne's Place says, Shawnee, I learned if one has a pet ferret, they get rid of all the mice and rats instantly. The ferret, huh? Will it take out your chickens? Rick says, 1/4-inch screen on the bottom like compost bins. That's right. Anne's Place says, as rats are their favorite prey, and the rats move out if they smell a ferret. Okay, so now Anne needs to get a ferret. Is that the trick here? GCB says, I didn't realize it was that way there, Anne. I thought the eco stuff was more of a crazy American thing. Gandalf says, well then, Anne, I would become a ferret fancier. Is that what it's called when you're a ferret owner? DCBs, I had a pet ferret once. They're pretty cool little critters. Anne's Place says, DC, they are changing the rules all the time here, trying to please EU. Okay, another way is inviting the predator into your garden. So let's see. Every animal, great or small, that wants to eat from your garden has a larger animal that wants to eat it. That's the food chain. Okay, remember science class, everyone? So understanding what will eat it. So if you're having a problem with slugs, snails, caterpillars, get some birds. Attract the birds. Bird fountains, bird feeders, bird houses. Just keep it in the vicinity of your land, but not like right next to your garden. I wouldn't put it right next to the garden. For bigger pests like squirrels and chipmunks, you need bigger birds like owls. To attract owls, you get an owl box on a tall tree, or you can put in a post. There's guidelines as far as like how close can that be to a building or a power line, look it up. Another way to keep animals out of the garden is suggesting the presence of a predator. This is that whole psychological game, right? Like, look over here. So let's see what it says. They're talking about planting their tomatoes, and they were so excited. And the next day they were all gone, and it was a raccoon that was doing it. And so somebody said, put some coyote urine in your garden. Because raccoons are terrified of coyotes. I've seen people just get the fake, like it's a coyote that's fake, and you move it around every week. Having your dog urinate in your garden, I've heard of that as from keeping things away. Brushing its hair and leaving its hair in the garden. You're leaving the scent of something that they know is dangerous. Rabbits, squirrels, and other small creatures fear coyotes, wolves, and dogs. Other things that might help with the squirrels is rubber snakes and plastic owls, but keep in mind that the squirrels aren't completely stupid. They're gonna they're gonna catch on to, hey, that owl hasn't moved, right? Okay, that's it for that page. This is talking about keeping small birds out of the garden, using the bird netting like we mentioned, and securing it because we don't want them to sneak underneath or get tangled in it. The reflective deterrents, we talked about hanging old CDs, aluminum foil strips, reflective tape, garden spinners or pinwheels, things that move in the wind. Using decoys, the real plastic owls, hawks, or rubber snakes, and keep moving them. We talked about floating row covers, keeping mice out of the garden, cleaning up hiding spots, removing the piles of leaves, tall grass, and clutter near the garden, keeping compost in a closed container, not an open pile. I mean, just having wood chip mulch around a rose, they'll make a nest in there and have babies. I've seen that firsthand. I was watering and they all came scurrying out. Using scent deterrents, peppermint oil, soaked cotton balls, garlic, cayenne. The thing about those natural remedies is it's just not as effective and you have to apply it all the time, especially after a rain. One of the articles actually said don't even bother with natural deterrents. Encourage the natural predator, like we just mentioned, owls, snakes. Sometimes the cat can be helpful, but it sounds like from experience, no, don't attract cats. Seal the raised beds or greenhouses with the hardware cloth. We talked about that for burying things or building frames or fences, even electric, right? Keep in mind your companion planting and diversity. How to keep groundhogs out of the garden, sturdy fence, the hardware cloth or welded wire fencing at least 3 feet above ground, and then burying it 12 inches and then bend it outward like an L. So this, and I'm thinking, is what I've seen with coops, chicken coops and chicken runs, is the hardware cloth is buried in the, like you dig a trench, you bury it, and you curve it out like the L. So like if something's trying to come towards your coop, and it starts digging, it's going to stop at some point. It's not going to go all down 12 inches and to go under that. They're just going to give up. So that's what I've seen other people do. Removing the attractants. Well, if it's your chickens or your garden, how are you going to remove that, right? Repellents. We talked about different animals' urine. Scare tactics. The motion activated sprinklers or lights. I seen someone have a motion activated noise. It was dogs barking or bears growling or something. Anytime motion happened, you can turn the volume up or down and you can change the sensitivity. Cool if that works for you, right? Wind chimes, pinwheels, reflective things. Blocking the burrows, filling it with gravel, placing heavy stones or fencing over the entrance. Planting deterrents, mint, lavender, fennel, sage, onions, garlic, chives. That's talked about too. Keeping crows out of the garden. Scare tactics, rotate regularly because crows are clever, right? So lifelike predator decoys, owls, hawks, scarecrows. Maybe get some owls and hawks, but if you have chickens, maybe that's probably not what you want to do unless you have that fortified with like bird netting over the run. Apparently reflective materials will keep crows away. I'm not so sure about that. And then motion activated sprinklers and noise deterrents and repositioning decoys. Crow confusion strategies, fake dead crow decoy. Seriously, it's an old farm trick that signals danger to other crows. Hanging black cloth cutouts shaped like crows upside down mimics distress and keeps them away. So if you can order a fake dead crow decoy, I want to know if it keeps the crows out, Anne. Guard dogs will help deter crows, and they don't like constant human activity, so just be out there more and sitting with your garden if you can, and don't feed or encourage them. This is why I said earlier, don't put your bird bath and bird feeder and bird houses directly near your garden. If you're going to see these, if you're having problems with them being in there, you want to do it somewhere on your land, but not right with the garden. Securing your compost or trash. The crows are scavengers. So are they digging in that? Crops that the crows love. Newly sprouted seedlings, which you said. Berries, tomatoes, and corn. So now the cat conversation. Let's read the chat first, actually. I read that. Oh, Pest Hunter, I wish I could say longer. However, it is late. Well, thank you so much for being here. You're probably gone by now. It was good having you here for this conversation. If you're having problems with wildlife, call an expert to come take them out. I have a person who has a garden and chickens, and there was tons of coyotes coming in. And she wanted it to get taken care of before it became a problem. She hired a professional to come in and end it. That is an option. Ferrets do like chicken, says Gandalf. DCB says, my big white dog catches the rabbits if they are slow and not paying attention. We have a rabbit issue. I think it's just one. I'm going to be waiting to see if there's babies somewhere or if it's a different animal. But the rabbit has been removed from the offsite garden as of yesterday, so we did lots of planting today. Rick says there's a YouTube channel on hunting mouse rat populations with minks or trained dogs. Well, that would be handy. You could hire them, maybe? Hire trained dogs to come in and remove mice and rats? Okay, Pest Hunter Outdoors said, if anyone needs help, I will be live tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Fantastic. Miss Sharon says, wonder if that would work with the cats. Okay, where are you going to get coyote urine? Let me look. Because I feel like it's at the hunting supply store. So, I don't know if this actually is at these places. It's giving me like a hardware store, a sports goods store. They also sell hunting equipment. There's places like Cabela's here, and then it's listing a farm supply store as well. Could have coyote urine on the shelf. I don't think Walmart or Home Depot carries that. And then there's the good old, Amazon. There's a huge gallon of it for $40 on Amazon. Yeah, Cabela's sells it, it looks like. And then it's like you would just put it in a spray bottle. I don't think you would dump it. I think you would spray it. Anybody have experience with this? Yes, Rick. Yes. Yes. Scott, hello. Welcome to our conversation on keeping furry critters out of our gardens the best we can. Rick says plastic snakes don't work. Oh, what if they're rubber? What if it's a rubber snake? Is there we tried that with bin chickens. Okay, DCB says pretend the cat is a football and you have a kick. What? Okay, Anne's Place says hubby is trying to find the smells of a ferret. Yeah, well, they're very smelly without having the animal. Okay, so find someone that has a pet ferret, and don't they brush them or something? And you get the fur and bag it up and bring it to your house and pff, it everywhere. How about that? How do ferrets use the bathroom when they're pets? Is there a litter box? Can you get the litter box stuff? You know what I'm saying? Try a coyote, Anne, says DCPs. Oh, my hair. Everything's bothering me. My neck, my hair, my chair. I'm getting annoyed. The light. Getting oversensitized. Okay. Cinnamon is great until it rains. And cayenne. Hot. Spicy. DCB says, I'm just having fun. I'd never pretend cat was a football. Miss Sharon says, actually, cayenne pepper will work if you can keep it applied daily. Yeah. Bin chickens equals ibis? DCBs. Yeah, if you're staying dry, the pepper works okay. And it's like, okay, well, if you want to buy a container of cayenne for maybe it's $1.25 at the dollar store and apply it every day, I don't know. It's up to you, right? Okay, so should I type in ferret urine? Like the pet store? It's usually not sold. Okay, I don't think that would work. Richard says, Dad had a huge barn owl called Orable. Gran would hang salted pork for bacon in the biltong hawk in the barn, and Orable ate mice till he couldn't fly. Wow. KP Heathen, welcome to the conversation. Do you have any furry critters that get into places you don't want them? Miss Sharon says, yeah, we have a lot of rain. I have no rain here. Anne says, I made that mistake last year, Shawnee. Bird feeder. You fed the crows, Anne? DCBs, that is kind of cool. Owl did his job, so your dad was cool with them, to Richard. Anne says, but I stopped when I realized what I did. And DCB says, there's never just one rabbit. Ha ha. I know. Gandalf's gotta go. Good night. DCBs, you may be only ever seeing one, but I have found that it's never just one rabbit. Yeah, this rabbit looked sick too, so I don't know. Rick says they do lots of farms that have birds. Rick says, again, food source. Yeah, take away its food source, take away its shelter. It'll move on, right? Anne's place, Miss Sharon, if you can spray any citrus smells around your place where you don't want cats to go, they can't stand the smell of citrus. I'm going to try and get through what the chat says, and then I want to talk about cats. Because I have things to say about cats. Let me prepare my... There it is. Okay. Excuse me. DCB says, yep, that is where I found mine. Anne's place says, my 17 cats stay away where I spray citrus. 17? DCB's Amazon for a coyote pay pee 2-day delivery. Richard says, thanks, Shawneegrows. I really don't want to know how it's obtained coyote urine. I don't want to look that up. Litter box is DCB's. Adam, you snuck a live in on me, Shawnee. I'm here. Yeah, I had time magically appear, and I'm not so sure magically time will appear Wednesday or Thursday. So, for those of you that don't know, I am trying to get to the 3,000 watch hour mark. So we're gonna crank out the lives as much as possible. Okay. DCB says, Shawnee, take a breath. Relax. Rick, I couldn't imagine walking into Bunnings, Australia, the box store, and asking for a coyote wee. You could look online. You don't have to ask somebody. You don't have to look somebody in the eye and be like, hey, where's the coyote urine at? Okay, Rick says, the Mink Man is the YouTube channel. Orange oil and put it in a spray bottle with distilled water and witch hazel, maybe? So it like lasts longer. Anne's place says, me too, Shawnee. I'm at 1.8K now for watch hours. Fantastic. Miss Sharon is reminding everybody that we do have a podcast, Learn as You Grow, and you can play that whenever your heart desires. You can find it on the YouTube or on Spotify and a couple other places. If you like what you're learning, tap the like button. Don't miss a grow. Subscribe. Know a gardener who'd love this? Share the stream. Let's talk about cats, shall we? Cats. I have some tricks to show you and talk about. Using scents they hate. Cats dislike strong smells. Try placing these around the garden. Citrus peels, lemon, orange, coffee grounds, vinegar in small open containers, lavender and rosemary. I thought the oil idea, because that's highly concentrated, right, is super interesting. putting it in a spray bottle, like I said, with some water and maybe some witch hazel. Creating a textured surface. Cats love soft soil, so make it uncomfortable. I've seen where people lay down chicken wire just underneath the soil, so when they jump in there, they'll feel it and jump out. I do have another thing to talk about towards the end of this section in regards to the textured surface, and I will show what it is. Motion activated deterrents. So those sprinklers and ultrasonic animal repellers that emit sound only animals hear, perhaps, might be good to try to keep cats. We're talking about cats. Physical barriers. Garden fencing and mesh covers using garden cloaks or netting for specific plants, like we talked about the weird wire, they look like they're trash bins. People putting those over baby plants until they get big enough and strong enough where a cat isn't going to knock into it. You could make a cat-friendly zone and redirect them. If you're okay with cats in general, creating a small area away from the garden that is planted with catnip or soft soil to draw them to that away from your stuff. This is saying avoid attracting the birds. Again, understanding what it eats and what the shelter is. Is it coming there to hunt? Is it coming there to eat the mice and you don't want mice? Well, then you're going to have to just find peace. Is it coming there to eat birds and you're feeding the birds right next to your garden? Then move the bird feeder zone, right? Now there's something called cat scat mat. That's what I wanted to talk about. I will present some pictures of it. So here's what it looks like. You buy a roll of it. It is made out of plastic and you can cut it with a scissors or a knife to fit the area you want it to go in. So here's an example of it in a bed, a raised bed. See it there at the base where they don't have any plants growing. The cat will not get hurt because I said it's like a plastic bendy thing, but if they jump up on it, if they dare, they'll get off of it real quick. So here is another example. They used it around the base of a pot or in a pot to keep them from going in there and scratching around and using it as a litter box. Cat scat mats have been talked about widely. I've never used one before. I thought it was rubber, but it says it's plastic. I do have a link in the description to possibly have access to buy one, but if you just go to Google or whatever search engine and you type in buy cat scat mat, they could sell it at Walmart, they could sell it on Amazon, they could sell it at a store in your country near you if you want to try whatever situation you have with a cat scat mat. The ideas of just keeping the soil planted was really good. You can buy plants that are ground covers, possibly, that the cats don't like. Like, I think creeping thyme was one of the, let's see here. It's not right there. I think creeping thyme was one of the plants. Finding where I left off. Okay, Rick says they tried myxomatosis on rabbits in Australia, but they're slowly getting immune to it. I feel like I read that in one of the articles. Anne's Place says, yeah, I control my cats with strong smells. It's the way. Don't forget to check out the website and support the channel, Shawneegrows.com, where you can find a free PDF download of a square foot gardening guide. It lists the crop and how many you can fit in a square foot. Rick. Newfound Drum Productions. Do you have any issues with animals getting into places they shouldn't be? Tell us your stories and what's worked for you. Or maybe we need to help you with a solution. DCB says, oh, that looks cool. Oh, it's only plastic. That isn't any fun. I know. Newfound Drum Productions says, Shawneegrows, I hear people put forks in their bed. They buy bags of plastic forks and plant them handle down. Yeah. The cats don't like it, right? Yeah. I could see that working for sure. Yeah, the mat is like a quicker concentrated, like, cut it, lay it. Instead of fork, 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 like the time it takes to lay it out. But definitely, definitely. Miss Sharon's reminding everybody while you're here, please hit the thumbs up. DCB says, that is an interesting idea, Newfound Drum Productions. Adam says, Bowtie Dave isn't allowed to go on cruises anymore. The last one is making him go to bed too early. Maybe there's something important going on that he had to go to bed for. I don't know. But if you're in the replay, Bowtie Dave, hi. Newfound Drum Production says, DCBs, I hear a few people in my Facebook group use them in their citrus. DCB says, I have seen beekeepers put things like that cat mat thing, but made of metal. Oh, I could see it having to be metal for the bears away from hives, definitely. Well, so I think the reason why for raised beds and gardens they don't advertise metal is that's harder to fit into the space, right? Like the plastic you can easily cut to shape, to form. But that's cool, DCBs. They will lay the metal pointy mat in front of the hive to keep the critters away. So cool. Rick says they make those mats here out of used tires you stand on for work, etc. Same thing. Oh, like the I have shoes for crews stuck in my head. The mats, like when you're washing dishes, or to have grip so you don't slip in a kitchen. We use nail boards for cabins too, so the bears don't get in. Yeah, okay. So you take a board and you drill a bunch of nails, screws in it, and then you place it with everything pointed up. It's been 46 minutes. I didn't even think I would be able to talk this long about this subject, so thank you all for doing this. The poll says, which furry garden invader gives you the most trouble? And I'm going to end the poll, copy and paste it so I can show it on the screen for those of you in the replay to see what was the most common thing. So here it comes. Squirrels was 30%, groundhogs was 30%, deer 23%, rabbits 15%. I've seen with groundhogs, like, here, take this mix of stuff and put it on a cotton ball and put it inside their tunnel, and then they'll either leave, maybe they try to eat it. I doubt they try to eat it. I've seen stuff like that. We were trying to just, for sure talk about, how did we say it earlier? The 3 ways, the natural, economic, non-harmful ways. But, at the end of the day, the trapping and the removing, ending their existence there, it's an option. It's out there. If you can do that. Newfound Drum Productions, darn squirrels eat my strawberries every year. But that's a good investment if they leave the rest of my garden alone. I've seen in the beginning of the strawberry year, before the fruit forms, people put rocks that are painted like strawberries out. Kind of like the fake egg that Anne has, that she talked about. So they go and they peck it or they pick it up and they're like, oh, this isn't anything good. And so when the real fruit comes, this is the whole psychological control category that we talked about earlier. Supposedly they don't come back. I'm not sure how much I believe that. I think another way to keep strawberries safe is netting the bed. We did that with, it was chicken wire, which I don't recommend for anything ever, for any purpose. I hate it. I'd much rather use like a bird netting or a hardware cloth. I hate chicken wire. Oh, Rick says they make doormats like that too. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because it's the cat just doesn't want to land on that kind of thing. DCB says, yeah, they use them lots up in Alaska. DCB says, I kind of miss the north, but I would have a very difficult time keeping bees there. I've seen that too, says Newfound Drum Productions, but I don't mind giving the critters a meal or two. Yeah, if you're willing to share, we've mentioned like just having a separate space, maybe near their habitat, their shelter, planted for them. and then they just stay out of yours, right? Planting enough for both was one of our options. Let's see. Newfound Drum Production says, I'm in their neck of the woods, not them in my space. I'm in their hood. DCB, so how do you feel about chicken wire, Shawnee? Sacrifice strawberries, Rick says. Stops working after a while, a few say. We have so many strawberries that if they took some, I probably wouldn't even notice. Right? Yeah, the painted rock thing. I wondered. It's like animals figure stuff out. You know what I mean? Their nose works, their eyes work. They have nothing better to do all day than to go look around for stuff to get into, right? It's they don't have a job. Let's see. Love garden talk. Listen to the Learn as You Grow podcast. We talked about that. I don't have anything coming soon. So if you missed our episode 1 of our gardening through history, we did that show. Check it out on the replay. We discussed when we switched as humans from foraging to farming. Was it a mistake? Could we have done it differently? What was good and what was bad about that? Check that out on the replay. Eventually, we'll have an episode 2 where we move through the timeline from Neolithic to the next section of when humans. I think I deleted I had like a coming soon. This is what we're going to talk about. I don't remember what the name is. So, for future live streams, let's see. In May, have we done game night? I think we did. Usually I do a game night once in the month. We could have like a chill and chat where we just talk about what's going on in our garden. I'm planting every day this week, so we could actually do that probably easily and fill an hour. I like to fill an hour's worth of space talking about stuff. But if you have something going on that you're like, hey, could you look this up for me? Like the other day, somebody in a greenhouse was like, what are the plants that I can have that deer aren't going to eat? And I was like, well, I could do a show about that. So throw me some ideas. Otherwise, we will figure it out like we always do. Newfound Drum Productions. You know what I seen online for pest control? DCBs. Most animals are smarter than more people think. A laser-guided paintball gun. Rick says, reminds me of people that had pet rocks 40 years ago. I mean, I'm a rock collector. Adam says, gopher hawks, lethal traps for gophers are the only successful way to deal with gophers. Okay, so that's what I have to type in? That's what that's called? I want to see what it looks like. I don't know if I'm looking at the right thing. So, this says the word hawk on it. It's a cylinder with a tripod. I need more pictures here. What? With a spring? And there's a neck thing on the bottom. Okay, so it's over the hole, I imagine, and then you spring it into the. Okay, I'll have to look at a video of it working. Okay, because I'm curious. It targets the pests in the garden all automatically. The laser paintball machine. DCB says, not in the same ways as people are, but an animal can be very intelligent for the animal. Newfound Drum Productions, that was supposed to be paintball pew pew. Yeah, I didn't. I know. I think we're okay. We're still alive, so nobody came after us. Sorry, yeah, I know. The language. Just like how we can't say talking about them not being around anymore kind of stuff. It's like another one of those warning flag things. DCBs, yeah, I bet gophers could destroy a garden. Zardoz, hey! Do you have any animals that bother you, and do you have ways to keep them away from where you don't want them? Is what we're talking about. Okay, I found the right thing, Adam. Thank you. I got a short news bite on the tariff front. Okay. DCB sounds like a giant potato gun. Oh, pew pew. Richard says, Shawneegrows, I also have a vast rock collection. They're called geological samples. Yeah, I like crystals and rocks ever since I was a little girl. And I used to collect four-leaf clovers that I'd find because I had to spend a lot of time not in the sun because of a medication I was on as a child. But I liked being outside anyways, so it wasn't like a big deal to just sit and look for clovers. I feel like I had a knack for it. Yeah, right? I must not have a setting. Sometimes you can have settings where if somebody says a certain word in my chat, it'll take it out. I must not have that word in a setting. And I've never had problems with them coming after my channels as of yet. So, and then yeah, the whole AI thing. Shawneegrows ever find a 5-leaf one? Is it even a clover then? Or is it a... It says they're rare. Okay. Should I type it in? Oh, my neck hurts. I was planting tons today. From nothing to... Why is it bringing me a music song? Talk about the plant. Okay, yes, 5-leaf clovers are real. They're rare. It's a genetic mutation in the white clover plant. Okay. What doesn't even make sense? The world record for the number of leaves on a clover is 56? Okay. Anne's place says, I also collect rocks from every place I ever went to, but China didn't want me to leave with their rocks. They took it out of my bag. Rick says, okay, gotta go. 2 p.m. here in Sydney. Have a nice evening, all. Thank you for hanging out with us for our conversation. I'll see you around. DCB says, just blame me, Shawnee. I don't mind. I'll just put your name right in the... Have a good rest of your day. Irish luck. Yeah, that's what it was saying. What? How lucky is that? The mods have control of the chat during the live. Yeah, I sometimes wonder if I need to add more mods. Well, the channel is growing. It's fantastic. We have the same amount of people usually in a live chat, but it's like, well, do I add more mods if we get any bigger, right? Oh yeah, that like the world record cloverleaf thing. I know. Like there's what, Zarda says, okay, here's the update. Trucking companies are canceling trips to the US confirmed to me by 3 different trucking companies I know. Well, and then it's like now we've got a lot of the shipping containers stopped and will start up again supposedly, based on the conversation that the 2 head people had at their little meeting. But it's still delayed, right? You know how long it takes for things to move. Miss Sharon says, I see that word a lot in chats. Just don't touch one during a live. DCB says, I'm glad your channel is growing, Shawnee. You have been putting in a lot of effort. Thank you for noticing. Today, what did I do first? What have I done so far? It's Monday, Tuesday is the 2 days so far I went out there, I believe. Saturday was the day we put in all the infrastructure. I think I shared about that, where we prepared beds, did broadcasting of wildflower seeds where it needed to go, put up cattle panels and T-posts, and zip tied them for trellises. That was all one day. Next day, I know I put in some onions. I have so many onions to plant. I've never successfully grown a large onion before. Maybe this year is the year, but it doesn't feel like it because I think I'm late to planting them, which means they won't have enough time in the ground before the daylight hours shift. But maybe I can like boost them with some nutrients and give them a good jump. I know I planted a round of peas right away, 2 different kinds, Green Arrow and Wando, because I like shelling peas. So then today I did a second round of peas. I did 3 types of carrots. I planted 3 types of lettuce with the carrots and radish with the carrots. And the other half of the carrots, I'm going to go back tomorrow and put onions with them because I didn't bring any with me because I grow not at home. So if I don't bring it, it doesn't get put in that day. So then I planted mystery brassicas because I didn't label anything. Remember how I grew the cold frame containers? I've showed pictures. We talked about it when I said the live stream was like I ran out of room for my seedlings. It could be broccoli. You know how you can tell like the leaf structure of something? I think it's broccoli or yodfa. I know I grew gypsy and yodfa. So I transplanted that stuff, and I guess we'll see if it's 8 tomorrow, if there's still something there. And then down the middle of the one, I did onions. Down the other one, I did beets. I did cylindra beets for juicing. And then I did plant separately over by it bull's blood beets. And you can eat those, roast them, pickle them, grill them. I have sugar beets to plant still in the beet family. And then my plan tomorrow is bring cabbages, which I think that's what they are. Like I said, I didn't label anything. And more onions and see how far I get in that. I have a bunch of seeds there, but we're going to get a cold front on Friday. So highs are going to be 60, lows are going to be 40. So I can't plant a lot of the flowers yet. I can't plant the tomatoes, peppers yet. They're going to have to come in at night still. But they're doing great. They're monsters. I'm super excited for my tomatoes and peppers to go in the ground and then to direct seed cucumbers as well, just all the things. I'd love to buy a couple flats of herbs and put them out in the food forest islands. If you haven't seen what I'm talking about, I made a video, grow your own grocery row garden or something it's called. It's actually made a video versus a live stream. I know. Normally I'm only doing live streams. I'd love to put a bunch of herbs and see what we can get perennialized out there. So I'm a little exhausted, but I can't just sit and do nothing when it's grow time, okay? We found out projections. I don't want to stop trade to my southern friends. I'm sad about the whole situation. It's Wednesday here, says Anne. I gave up with the peppers now. You just have to go buy transplants. Go buy seedlings of the peppers you want to grow. Richard says, here too, Anne, 6 a.m. Peas are awesome. Thank you for noticing. DCB says, we all live in a... Yes. I'm not even going to say it. Sweet peas. Miss Sharon goes, it just went to Wednesday here. 7 a.m. is Anne now. Richard says Anne's place lots of chilies, and Nikki, my sister, has lots of chilies too. Newfound Drum Productions. Anyone grow Minnesota midget cantaloupe melon? Yes, I have. I got them plants, just never tasted them before. I usually grow those with Kajari. So they're personal sized. Okay. They're not huge. And they smell like candy. Very sweet. And it's got the orange flesh where the Kajari has the green flesh. It's more like a honeydew melon. The Minnesota midget is like a cantaloupe. Like I said, you would eat the whole thing in one sitting probably because they're little. They're great. I'm going to grow them again if I still have seed. Anne's Place says, Richard, I give up 7 times. I tried growing any kind of pepper and it doesn't even shoot up. Yeah, just by transplants. Just let it go. Zarda says, ew, broccoli. I will always give my brother-in-law's mine at Christmas dinner. I don't eat broccoli, but I have family members that demand I attempt to grow broccoli. And we only eat it raw. We don't cook it because that's gross. Soul Sista, good evening, fam, new friend. Hey, we were talking about how to keep furry animals out of your garden, and then now I was just blabbing on about why my body hurts because I'm obsessed with gardening and planting, and it's go time for most of the stuff. So, thanks for coming in. Anne's Place says, DC happens to me too. I have stuff coming up that I don't know what I planted there. Yeah, it's a mystery. That's how you learn as you grow, right? You learn how to identify the seedling as it grows because you'll see what it turns into. And then you'll remember next time because who wants to label all this stuff? Cool reaction, says TCPs at 11:03, 2 minutes ago, something I said. Yeah, small melon. Yep. It's like when you pick it and then maybe you let it sit on your kitchen table for a couple days, the whole kitchen will smell like the sweet candy of your Minnesota midget cantaloupe. Howie! Food Forest Permaculture. Greetings, Earthling. Hello. I'm surprised you're awake. Isn't it sleepy time there? Maybe not. I'm not telling you what to do. We spoke a lot about keeping animals out of the garden. So cultural controls, what are they targeting? Identifying what's coming in there, right? Based on footprints or scat or cameras and seeing them or their fur or just observing them with your own eyeballs. Biological controls, the natural food chain. What eats the thing that you don't want there, right? Psychological controls, being smarter than them, having like the fish line, the scarecrows, the motion lights, things that do this in the wind and reflect. Decoys, we talked about that. Physical barriers like your fencing, your netting, maybe it's electric, having row covers, having hardware cloth underneath places that have creatures that tunnel, um, things built over the top of beds to protect them. And then we talked a lot about cats, keeping cats out. It's all tricky. People shared what their most common furry critter issue is and if they have figured out how to solve it or not. Chat Pictionary is fun, says DCBs. Richard says, Anne's Place, I struggle with capsicum bell peppers. Just one grew, but planting more chilies as they grow like weeds, and now I have clients to buy them. Any tips on parsley? I direct sowed parsley, like broadcasted it here at the rental house. And so I had so much that I didn't eat it all. I just left it in the ground. We had winter time, which it's Minnesota. I'm in zone 5A. It gets -20, -30 here. The next year it came back up, and that would be its second year, and it's a biennial. So then it went to flower, and it made a seed, and it dropped its seed, and then those seeds made new parsley. That's what I want to do out at the offsite garden. But to get parsley right now, I just buy a started plant, a transplant. How to germinate? Yeah, I just direct sowed it. I surface sowed it. Let's see. Does parsley need light to germinate? Parsley seeds do not require light to germinate. They just need soil that's moist. The reason I was looking it up because it determines if you want to rough it up and cover it with dirt lightly or if you need to just leave the seeds on top is why I looked. The Kajari melon, the green flesh, they're also little, just like the Minnesota midget. 1 year they didn't work, 1 year they did work, but I have very bad luck with any type of melon. This year we're going to break that though. This year we're going to grow melons like we've never grown melons before. So we'll see. I'm like trying to remember if the parsley's still growing because I ripped out a bunch of gardens. I don't garden as much here anymore. I garden at an offsite. I want to prepare to leave this land that I'm on to new land. So I'm trying to remember if the parsley's out there still. Newfound Drum Productions, and I'm gonna have to look tomorrow because it's right next to. I forgot a bunch of strawberries and tulips here, and I think it's Egyptian walking onions that are here, or it's garlic. So I'm gonna have to check on that tomorrow. DCB says I planted green beans, turned out to be climbing. Oh, you thought they were bush and they're pole? And then you forgot what bean it was that you planted? Yeah, like if it was to eat green, fresh, or if it was to mature and dry. I have not planted beans yet. Howie is on his way to sleeping. All right, thanks for checking in. Adam says, I'm so behind in getting the garden going because this year is 2 weeks early. There is no such thing as behind. It is better to be late than early. Okay? There's so much time ahead of you. You're not late. You stop that. The birds eat the bugs. Yeah. Newfound Drone Productions. We talked about laser guided turrets. Zarda says it's only after 9. It's almost movie time. DCB says people grow parsley. Wow, never thought of growing that. What? Parsley is fantastic. You're welcome. Why do people grow parsley? Is it like a good for you herb? Great question. It's one of those herbs that I like to use as a garnish. So you've finished your dish and you chop it up and you put it on top then. So like pasta, it goes good on pasta. Let's get some ideas. I don't think I put it in my bone broth. Yeah, it's a garnish. So like chicken Alfredo, sprinkle parsley on it. I know I put parsley leaves in my salads. It just adds cool flavor. And then there's tabbouleh and chimichurri. And you can also use parsley and pesto, which pesto can be used 4 different ways. I feel like I put it on potatoes. But I actually hate mashed potatoes, so I like all the other ways, though, of eating a potato. I was going to say, like, a taco slaw, but usually that's cilantro. Goes good with garlic, yeah. Hummus, I don't really love hummus. I wish I could. Sounds like it's healthy. I don't, let's see. Does it say? I don't think I put it in my bone broth. But maybe I do. I know I make tea out of herbs, like thyme tea when I'm sick. Was parsley tea something I've used? Okay, so if you put your parsley in the bone broth while you're making it, it's primarily used for the mineral content rather than flavor enhancement. I can see that. I only like it fresh. I don't really like dried parsley, but it is an ingredient in Italian seasoning. Chicken soup, definitely get some fresh parsley at the end, yes. Am I going on too long about parsley? Let's see, where was I at? Oh, I didn't look up health benefits. Antioxidant properties, good source of vitamins A, C, and K, folate, iron. Parsley supports eye health, bone health, immune function. It also acts as a natural diuretic and can aid digestion. I feel like it's used as a garnish a lot to chew at the end of your meal. And that's it. That's all I'm going to say. Richard says, I have 2 IBC totes to make 4 raised beds and then must go get more of them. And Miss Sharon says, more rain tomorrow. I'm going to put seeds in the ground anyhow. I'm tired of waiting. Okay, now Rick's leaving. That was at 11:09. I was talking. TCB says, would parsley grow on a chia pet? Man, if Mushroom Mark was here, he would be commenting all over that. Newfound Drum Productions. I've been thinking I may try a sugar baby watermelon. That's another one that's like this, but you want to do it indoors. GT Junior Grows in Alaska, I think, is the one to talk to about that. Yeah, under LEDs. I have LEDs and I grow inside, but like I don't have a lot of space. It's chia seeds. Chia seeds are what they grow on a chia pet. Anne says, yeah, I forgot to get parsley seeds. Ah, you must go back to the store. Newfound Drum Productions. I use mine in my steak rub. Yes. Yes. Don't knock over the shelf behind you because we did that in one episode. Anne says, I love parsley on the potato salad. Yes. Soul Sister, I really am working on growing a winter's worth of food. Any suggestions from the gardening community? Oh, yes. Check out our live stream about the hunger gap, surviving the hunger gap, growing a thriving garden. It really helps you plan out what are the things you need to grow that have shelf life in the winter. So maybe you don't want to preserve it. You can it just is fine the way it is if it's cured in your pantry. And then there's the level of, okay, well, do you want to freeze it? Do you want to can it? Do you want to ferment it? We talked about all that stuff. We gave a huge list, storage tips at temperatures, how to cure things, the crops list. So, let's see. I think I can get you the link. I'm going to be quiet looking for the link. I'm sorry for the quiet. Okay, so here is what I was talking about. The Hunger Gap live stream. In the description of it, it's going to have links to articles and guides and storage tips. Hopefully you'll be able to watch it fully and get all the good advice on there. DCB says, I asked because as a child I was told to eat it. You were told to eat parsley? And I did not like it and have never understood its use. I think it's served as a garnish at a restaurant to eat last to refresh your mouth. Like a mint, kind of. I have big brothers. They were jerks. I was like, who's telling someone to... Parsley is essential in homemade ranch. There we go, Adam. Mother Earth Garden Club. Hey, I don't think I said hi to you. I use parsley in salsa because you don't like cilantro. It is a great substitute. Yeah. Yeah, I meant fresh. Right. Okay, good. We talked about it then. Miss Sharon is helping Soul Sister with potatoes, carrots, onions, and beans. You gotta eat. You gotta grow what you eat too. Like if you don't like any of that stuff, then we're gonna have to find another option for you. DCB says it's okay, Shawnee. Zara says I grow grass seed on my chia pet. My old cat loves it. You were just kidding? No, I was just kind of spurring of conversation. Soul Sister, my apologies. I should have mentioned other than the norm. Oh, I think in the live stream you'll find something. There's got to be something in there that's out of the norm. Because, right, like the winter squash, the sweet potato, the russet or red or Yukon gold potato, the onions, the garlic, the carrots, the cabbage. You hear about those, the dried beans, right? And DCB says, wow, parsley is good for you, it sounds like. Richard got herringbone beans to try to grow. Indigenous to here. Interesting history. A big sack beans presented to the British High Commissioner every year as a tribute to the King of England. Love when things have stories. Thank you for sharing Soul Sisters YouTube channel. Miss Sharon, Mother Earth says, I'm planting sugar baby watermelon tomorrow. I can't plant watermelon yet because we're getting a cold front. And so I either wait till after Memorial Day at the earliest or just wait till June 1st because I want warm soil. Soul Sister says, thank you, Miss Sharon, for dropping my link. Much appreciated. It's okay. Typos are okay. I'm glad you're excited to be here. Thank you. The silence. Not allowed. You can hum at least. I could have shared. There's like this creator music where you just download the license supposedly and you can play it on your channel and it's like chill vibes. I could have had that loaded to pop in for when I go and research stuff, but I didn't. Mother Earth Garden Club, I still have butternut squash that's good from last fall's harvest. I do as well. I grow the smaller variety. So, like, nobody else in my house really wants to eat it. So, I don't grow butternut, like Waltham. You know, they're this big. I grow honey nut and butterbush. So, it's like, once that thing's open, it's just me eating it. It's serving for me. Boom. I don't have to store or do something with the rest. You got it? Okay. Yeah, the descriptions are usually super full with information too. There might be timestamps on that one. I don't know. It was from 4 months ago, I think. But yeah, it helps you plan out your gardening year. DCBs, Walla Walla sweets do not store well. That is right. They are not a storage onion. They have a high sugar content and don't dry down as well, so they do not store as long. I assume other sweet onions are the same. Yeah, understand the variety you're planting and what its purpose is. Is it just so you can eat onions throughout the year? Plant, like a Walla Walla. If you're looking for storage, Australian brown, I think, is one that I grow in my area. I grow long day varieties. There's long day, intermediate day, and short day. We talked about the maps and the zones when we talked about the onion section. I'm trying to think what the red ones were called. I don't remember the names of things. Oh, my neck. Richard says, Heron Lord's bone beans. Coasian people had a drought and were starving. Asked the British soldiers for help and were given food. From thankfulness, one big sack of heron bone given to the king. DCBs, no, Shawnee. My brothers really did make me eat it. They were much older and told me I had to. They were jerks. I stopped trusting my big brothers about food after the Chinese mustard. Oh. Ann's Place says, I love butternut. I use butternut squash to make pumpkin pie, says Mother Earth Garden Club. DCB says red onions store well. Zardoz, I was a chef for 12 years. Parsley was served to dress up the plate. Oh, usually thrown away? It's not to, like, cleanse the mouth? Like, chew it? I know it's a lot. It's really a lot on. Oh, my neck. I'm sorry. I keep saying that. I'm going to have to get off of here and say goodbye, everybody. I hope I helped people figure out ways to keep animals out of your garden, and I like talking about all the things that come up in the live chat as we talk about things. So grow every day in every way, and we will see you on the next live. I didn't see anyone throw out any suggestions as far as what we should talk about, so it shall be what it is. Newfound Drum Production says, awesome stream, Shawneegrows, well enjoyed. Later all, glad I got up in time, says Anne. Yeah, I think I missed you yesterday. I don't think you were in the gardening and history conversation, but maybe you were. We got you some more hours. That's right. Yeah, we went longer than I expected for sure. Blessed days, everyone from DCBs. Receive that. Okay, hitting the button. Peace.